All right, let's get started on global color. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a brief tutorial on color and global color. Global color is what makes Harmony even more powerful than by far than Adobe Flash, because Adobe Flash, you just have a color. It's just based on its RGB values. You paint with it and then you select it. You paint with it and you forget it. And Harmony, it's very different. Right here, I have a scene palette. I called it Fisherman Cleanup. I'm going to rename this to just Fisherman. So I'm just going to call this Fisherman. And this is what you would name your palettes, as based on who they are or what the character is. And right now, it just has its default palette, and it's just black, white, green, red, and so forth. Okay. And that's fine, or that's all well and good. Well, what I want to do is basically talk about paint, paint, unpaint, repaint, unpaint. And all of those are right here: paint, ink, paint, unpainted, repaint, and unpaint, stroke, and close gap. And that's a lot of paint. That's a lot of different things that are going on right in this object. I'm going to zoom in here. This is all line. Did you notice that there are no brush tools, but this is all simple vectors and simple lines? It's a beautiful thing. Anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to briefly illustrate some paint or paint features with global color, and I'm also going to add some colors. So here's my palette. I'm going to add some colors, so I'm going to say right here with black selected, I'll say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to just start typing, and I'm going to name this one skin, and then I'm going to say skin, L skin, a L skin. I'm going to say hair, and then I'm going to say L hair, and L standing for a line, L hair. And then I could say, oh, I don't know, for now, we'll just say skin darker, or eyelids. How about those eyelids? All right. So I'm just going to put down some colors here, and I'm going to say with my skin color, I'll just randomly pick something that is appropriate for this character. Get a little more pinky. There we go. And then with Elskin, what I really like is that here I can say copy. I can go to the next one and say paste color values, and it'll be the same color. Now, these might be a little bit alarming. Wait a minute, how can you have two colors that are the same color? The reality is that you can have 1,000 colors that are the same color. Because with Harmony, the definition, or what defines a color, is not by its name, not by the name and what it's under vis-a-vis the scene palette, or the RGB values. What is ID'd by the colors is a unique serial number or color ID. So every time you create a new color, it is identified in Harmony by a very, 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 very long sequence of numbers, or a serial tag number. So you can have 5, 6, a dozen characters, a dozen color pots that are yellow, each one of them being treated differently. And that's a powerful thing. And with the L skin, what I did here is I'm going to take the exact same skin color. I'm going to double click on the pot, and I'm just going to decrease its value just a little bit so that it's a darker skin, a darker skin outline. With the hair, I'll do the same. I'll pick an orange color, right? And then I'm going to copy this. I'll say copy, and I'll say paste, paste color values. I'll make that just outline just a little bit darker. All right. And then with the eyelid, I'll just copy, and I'll say paste color values here. And I'll make this skin color just a little bit more, I don't know, brownie, I guess, or there we go, something like that for his eyelid. We'll see how that goes. You don't really have to commit. It doesn't really have to be dead on, because the beauty of this is it can change in any way you want it to be. All right, so let's just start with skin. And by the way, any of these also can be removed, right? So I can take all of these and I can remove it. I can take this and say remove, 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 remove. Right? If I remove this one, which I think I painted black, it will go and say, do you want me to delete this anyway? And I say no, cancel. I painted with black. I usually call this L balance, which is the black I use. So I'm going to call it L balance, balance. All right, and that's the black color. And the black color I use usually has a value of 4, 4, and 4, and not truly purely black. Okay, I'm going to color the skin, and I'm going to color it using Paint Unpainted. Well, let's talk about these different versions of Paint and Paint Unpainted. If I say Paint Unpainted, that means it's going to do exactly what it would do. It's going to paint whatever's unpainted. Okay, the hair, Paint Unpainted, Paint Unpainted. Okay, if I'm going to say Paint, which is just paint, it's going to paint damn everything, right? It's just going to say, I'm just going to paint whatever this cursor comes in contact with. So paint is kind of dangerous in that it does not discriminate. Paint Unpainted, think of it as painting fills. We'll paint fills. Okay, repaint paints what's already there or repaints what's already down. Makes sense? Hence it's called repaint. Okay, painting what's already down. Unpaint obviously is going to unpaint everything to the point where it's no longer there. Note that I hit the D key. See, it will unpaint. Not a good way of going about erasing anything. And then you have these stroke and close gap things that can be also helpful and useful for, say, you don't want a line there, but you just want a color break, right? So let's talk about that. Maybe we'll do a stroke here. Let's do a stroke, and under our tool properties, we'll make sure that we have this draw straight lines and connect line ends. And I'm going to draw a stroke right here. Okay, and then I'm just going to slightly hold the A key and bend it. So maybe I want like some sort of odd shadow shape. Okay, so that way, when I paint, and this time I'm going to say Paint Unpainted, go back to my color, I'm going to say Skin, I'm going to paint the skin, and then I'm just going to say, you know, I'll use the eyelid color, or yeah, why not? Just use the eyelid color. So then see, now I have something of a different line break there. Without a line, I have a different color, okay? And here I'll just paint the eyelids, right? And I can add more colors here, so I can say pupil. Okay, and I'll say I'll color in the pupils, and then the hair, right? I always find it better, by the way, to paint the lines first. Let's back up a bit. The lines first, it's a lot easier to say repaint, paint all the lines first that you want to do, and paint all those out. So here I can just say unpaint, right? And say, oh, unpaint that, unpaint that, unpaint that, unpaint that, and done this and this. And some of you might also notice or recognize that and say, oh, that's not good. How do I fix that? Those lines are on top. And the very simple thing is, if you select this artwork here, if you hit Command-Shift down, you'll shift all of that down or underneath. And this one as well, Command-Shift down. Flash is no different, actually. Flash is identical to that, and the hotkeys are exactly the same. Okay, Command-Shift down. I'm just going to say repaint. Oops. I'm just going to repaint the hair line, or L hair. All right, so when doing self-colored line, you're going to want to do the line work first, right? So the L skin, you know, we're going to do the skin color of the line of the skin, right? So let's do this real quick. We'll paint it all in. There we go. His L skin, and get his ear, right? And notice that I'm just intersecting or running it in. I'm not clicking on it. I'm not being precise about it. It's pretty loose about it, okay? And then I'll leave those black, and then pupil, I'll use Paint Unpainted. There we go. Okay, and so now, and L hair, we should do repaint because that's wrong. Right there, and here, and then I'll select the line work here, and I'll put the head and say Command-Shift down. That way it doesn't intersect. All right, so now I'm going to say Paint Unpainted, and I'm going to say Skin, right? And I'll get rid of that. Let's just fill it all in. Why not? Even though I have a line break. I'm going to say color or hair. I'm just going to say hair. Actually, L hair should have been that. So I made a mistake again there. So let's just say hair. And we can always go back and repaint this. So let's say repaint, all right, L hair, there we go, and then say paint unpainted, hair, all right, good, skin, do that again here, and his eyelids, we'll do there and there, okay. So that's basically the paint tools or the paint features that you need to know is paint, paint unpainted, repaint, and unpaint. And if I hold down the D key, you can see all my painted or painted regions. I don't have to keep that, by the way. I can remove it and just say delete, and it won't give me any, but it'll give me, it will probably give me problems. I'm going to have to delete those again. If I delete these regions and then say paint unpainted again, hit skin, there, now it's all one solid shape. And I'm painting and doing all of this in line art. Yes, you can separate your lines and your colors and put color and color art in line art. And in the case of builds, that isn't really that essential. Okay, so that's part one of global color. Let's talk about its global capabilities in the next tutorial.